Yesterday, about this time, I was talking about the difference between equity and equality and how they seemed mutually contradictory terms in the start of the 21st century in the Western liberal English speaking world, where equality and equity are not the same thing, and in actual fact, equity seems to trump equality these days and it denies equality. And ironically, equity is one of those things that the moment you start getting into trying to recalibrate or rebalance the ethnic or cultural odds in this country, you in actual fact deny equity to other groups. It's a bizarre word. It's almost a mutual contradiction of itself, the word equity, as expressed in official, academic, and media circles of New Zealand. Equity means inequitable. I mean, it's an odd. It's like it's like a snake eating its own tail. Equity. You know what I mean? It's if you it's equity for one person, but you have to deny equity to another. And so we talked about that a little bit yesterday. But we also talked yesterday, and I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on, because another one of those equity cases just arisen to do with the teaching council. But the other story that yesterday you'll remember was, and it's gone gangbusters on social media. I noticed, and yesterday I broke the story of Macraes gold mine, run by Oceania Gold, who are now, I think, in the fast track application to expand their gold mine. They employ scores of people and had a significant operation for a quite good period of time. And sort of, as I was trying to explain to you, it's sort of eastern Otago, I guess is the best way to describe it, in inland. And yesterday I broke the story of a cultural assessment report, if you remember, that had been not commissioned but had been is required in terms of their applications under both fast track, I would expect, but also under the Resource Management Act, and how a cultural assessment report had been undertaken by three tai whenua or runanga of the Ngāi Tahu iwi, based in the Otago region, and that they were essentially effectively shaking down Oceana Gold and the Macraes gold mine for money as a consequence of failing them and this particular gold mining company and the expansion of its operations. And they said it had failed and offended essentially the cultural values of those three local iwi, or local, they're not iwi, they're more hapu really, of Ngāi Tahu, and they had weaponized this cultural assessment regime to shake them down. And I had never seen it before on page 54 of the report, and I quoted to it yesterday. And I have to say, this has gone gangbusters on social media. I didn't realize it had extended so far until I got the numbers this morning. That and a number of people have essentially said it was blackmail. That this group, these three what would you call them, runanga of Ngāi Tahu, had gathered together under their commercial apparatus, Okaha, had done a cultural assessment report and had failed the Macraes gold mine, the Oceania Gold applicant, but they indicated clearly that they could be bought off, that all of their cultural assessment criteria that had been breached, apparently egregiously breached, by Oceania Gold and the gold mine, could be compensated for, and use that word expressly in terms of seeking a settlement from Oceania Gold, who, as I understand now, have fast track approval to go on that particular route to get this extension of their gold mine underway. And I was pointing out the perverse incentives yesterday of iwi and the commercial entities of iwi to fail just about every application that's out there on cultural grounds on the clear and present knowledge that you can then take said cultural assessment impact report, wave it in the face of the particular corporation or commercial entity and say, you've failed, but for a good sum of money, you can now, we'll pass you. We will let you go if you compensate us for our hurt feelings and the damage done to our cultural values. I mean, it's a nonsense even that you would think that you'd have to compensate anybody for their supposed breach of their cultural values at all. But this is the nature of the legislation. And it's legislation that has weaponized the Maori culture into a very fine commercial point, thanks very much, and allowed what would be regarded, I have to say, in Sicilian terms, as something of a shakedown, and I don't think anybody would disagree. Well, there was disagreement, and this is the postscript. Because that particular claim and my editorial yesterday at about this time went off, the Okaha or the Ngāi Tahu representatives of felt the need to go on to social media and to defend themselves. And so it would be improper of me not to share that defence with you. So they give a factual background of this particular case and how indeed the Department of Conservation had also said that they didn't want the project to proceed, but had done a volte-face turn around 180 degrees and then said, well, actually, no, we got that wrong. There was a series of information we didn't properly understand. Yes, of course you can go with it. We'd just like this little bit of mitigation over here to do with the environment, please. So they withdrew their objection to the Department of Conservation, and that's when Oceana Gold came up with its cultural impact assessment report. All right. Now, here's the issue. They said then, so this is defending themselves, Okaha presumably, and those Ngāi Tahu representatives, that the initial denial of a specific permit came from DOC. Yes, but it was taken away. So, I mean, that's not an argument. You're still objecting, and you are now the only people of any consequence that are. And then said the claim from the platform simplifies a complex ongoing resource consent and iwi consultation process. I'll repeat that. So this was their answer to all of this after the background had been given up. The claim from the platform simplifies a complex ongoing resource consent and iwi consultation process. Now you'll note immediately, and I'm sorry, but I must have somewhere strayed across the English language and must have studied it to some degree, but that sentence actually means this. It's not that we're saying that what he said isn't true. You know, that's the first thing. There's no denial that what I said yesterday was true. Well, it can't hardly deny it because I had the document in front of me and the offending paragraph and sentence demanding the compensation for hurt feelings, basically. But the second aspect of that is that they are still trying, and it seems to be verified, as of today, shake down Oceana Gold at the Macraes gold mine. This, it's very complex. What you've done is you're getting in the way of a complex iwi consultation on this issue. No, and a negotiation. Yes, that's right. I am getting in the way because you do need to be exposed for the strange form of almost commercial quasi-blackmail that is in process here. Because you've got hurt feelings about your cultural values, which are nothing to do, I might add, with the gold mine, but you've decided to inject yourself into that particular debate. You need monetary compensation or some form of commercial compensation so that your hurt feelings can go away. I mean, everybody understands in New Zealand that's a grift. And I think whoever actually put out the apology statement on social media from, I guess, Ngāi Tahu sources yesterday knows that as well, because they're not denying that this complex negotiation proceeds apace. And I just thought I'd give you that postscript to show that, strange enough, Michael Walls and his claims yesterday aren't denied. They can hardly deny it when I presented yesterday physical evidence of this shakedown procedure. All right, so that was the postscript to that, and we will keep an eye on that at the platform and bring you up to date. Yes, updates as it. But I sincerely hope Oceana Gold tell them to piss off with a capital P, because at the end of the day, the merits, environmental, social, economic, of the project should stand on their own without some other group trying to inject their culture with a capital C, and their religious values and their Te Ao world view, and then to monetize it for personal or commercial or iwi profit. It is so wrong on so many levels.